Council members, to our mayor, our city attorney, our clerk, and our treasurer in their absence. Today is Monday, September 22nd, 2025, and this is City of Romulus City Council special meeting public hearing. This hearing is to discuss the TIFA plan amendment adoption completed by CIB Planning. Mr. Chair, roll call was taken at a previous special meeting, and a quorum still exists for this meeting.
Thank you.
Tonight's public hearing agenda is as follows. Number 1, roll call to agenda. 3, public hearing discussion, TIFA plan amendment adoption. Number 4 is public comment, and number 5 is adjournment. A motion will be in order to accept tonight's public hearing agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Kraus, supported by Ms. Abdo, to accept the public hearing agenda. Mr. Kraus.
Yes.
Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
Ms. Talley.
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, City Council. We are now in discussion, and I believe to lead off our discussion is our Director of Community Development and Safety, Kevin Kraus.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Council. Appreciate you taking some time this evening to talk about the Tax Increment Finance Authority. This evening, the purpose of this evening's meeting is to comply with Public Act 450, which is to hold a public hearing as we restate and go through the plan for a incremental restatement of the plan and update. So as we went through this particular plan this year, or this particular update, some of the top 3 reasons really for updating this plan is to make sure that we align the current plan to allow for the highest and best use of TIFA capture for the quality of life improvements for the citizens and the community that it benefits. We wanted to make sure that the plan itself and the end dates and the fiscal projections within the plan all aligned with each other, which we didn't necessarily have in the last plan. We had an end date of about 10 years, and then we had fiscal projections for an additional 10 years after that. So this will take this plan out for a full 30 years and make sure the end date and the fiscal projections for the plan all are in alignment with each other for the purposes of bonding for projects such as the public safety facility that we're working on up at up at Vineland and Wake Roads. And then lastly, to make 3 boundary changes within the plan. And those 3 boundary changes are pretty significant because it'll allow us to encompass the City Hall complex and use TIFA dollars to upgrade and make infrastructure improvements in the City Hall complex. It'll allow us to encompass Fire Station 1, which has been shuttered and closed for a long period of time as we've grown the fire department from a paid-on-call to a full-time, full-service department. And we're starting to evaluate what we can do with that station to get it reopened and improve a service model for the fire department. And then also a portion of Pennsylvania Road west of Merriman to 275, which most of that land down there is wetlands and encompassed currently right now and owned by Wayne County Airport Authority. And we're working with them to open up some of that property along that corridor for development and to get it back on the tax rolls for the city and get development and infrastructure into that area down there. So those are the 3 main purposes for this plan. And we partnered with CIB Planning, which has worked with the city on a lot of other plans throughout the years. And we really worked with them and challenged them up to give us all of the tools that a TIF plan will allow us to use, right? We haven't used TIFA to its fullest capacity in years past, and our goal is to continue to move forward and be progressive and use the TIFA and the TIFA's dollars that are captured to get the highest possible benefit for the community and for the citizens. Some examples of that over the last couple of years that we've been able to accomplish is most recently this year, we've done significant improvements over to the DPW building and the animal shelter through the TIFA plan, which used the TIFA capture dollars for that. We've been able to build the ancillary building out behind DPW for storage of additional equipment and get it out of the weather and elements. We've made significant improvements over the last 2 years over at the Romulus Athletic Center. More importantly, that Romulus Athletic Center is on its last payment. So next year, the Romulus Athletic Center will be paid off. But with that comes challenges because it's almost an 18-year-old building and a lot of the mechanicals in that building are end of life. So we're starting to replace all the HVAC and all of that stuff. And as everyone knows, that infrastructure isn't cheap anymore. And it takes a while to get through all of that. So we're in the process of doing that right now. Last year, we did the Smith Road water main in between Middlebelt and Meriden. That water main and that road we know is a problematic road and needs to be replaced. But before we can put a plan in place to replace that road, we wanted to make sure that we moved the water main from underneath it. Started with all the infrastructure underneath, moved it to the north of the road right away, and increased the capacity and the size of that water main as well to service that area better. We did the North Line Road resurfacing in between Middlebelt and Inkster Road. So if you've been down that road recently, that was a significant resurfacing project. We had several new businesses that went into that area, Aerostar Manufacturing, a furniture company, and a couple other ones in that area that were calling on a regular basis about some of the potholes and road conditions over there. So we were able to work with that and get that taken care of. And then also, over the last year or so, we've been able to work with Julie Albert in the assessor's office with the special assessment district along Merriman Road, and Tifa assisted with the NFL draft activities and the decoration of banners and everything that we did during the NFL draft in that corridor as well. So those are some of the projects that we've been able to accomplish over the last year and a half, 2 years, and the purpose of this update and the hearing this evening. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to CIB and kind of let her give you a little bit more of a high-level overview of what changes we're looking at making in the plan.
I'm sorry, before she gets started through the chair.
Yes.
And so the signage we're gonna go do across the bridge, is that Tifa too, that big signage that we're trying to get?
On Vining? On
Yeah.
Vining Road, yeah, the Vining Road
That's part of
overpass
that.
signage, yes. Yeah.
That'll be a
Yep.
part of that
That's
as
part
well.
of TIF as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, and actually, I guess I'll take that one step further and forgot to mention this because it's so recent, but approximately 2-3 weeks ago, TIFA officially closed on the property for the Public Safety Headquarters building. So we purchased the 18 acres of property on Wick Road, just east of Vining Road, in between 94 and Wick. So that property has been purchased by TIFA, and we're working with PIA in the development of the plans for the Public Safety Headquarters. Okay.
John?
Yeah.
Chair,
Ms.
while you're
Roscoe?
on that subject, you had mentioned Station 1.
Mhm.
That's the one on North Line and here River Drive.
Correct.
And so are you looking at doing improvements to that at the same time the public safety new building is going to be built?
Yeah, so it's kind of happening concurrently. So we're going through, we just started that process. I just signed the agreement with PIA as well to go through that process. They're going to give us 2 options: look at the current site and make improvements to the current site, or possibly scrape it and then rebuild new there as well. We got to look at what makes sense over there and make sure that the accommodations are meeting the needs of a new modern-day fire department.
That's really good, because then we'll have someone on that side of the railroad tracks.
Correct.
And that's something that people are asking about all the time. Well, we're going to do this, this, and this, but we still got the railroad tracks, and that's still an issue. So that's good to know.
Yeah, I like to.
It's good to know when anybody says anything about it.
Everyone knows, fire service is my background, and it's been a 10-year project, right? And we had to go from a paid-on-call department to a full-time department, which meant consolidating everything and then starting to grow. We had that second station open up on the north side, and this really, with the new north central located fire headquarters and then Fire Station 1, it creates that triangle around the square of the airport and really mitigates a lot of the response time issues that we have because of the airport being in the center of our city.
Because we'd still leave the fire station on Eureka open.
Correct. Yes.
Okay,
Correct.
thank you for clarifying that.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Kevin, who did we purchase the property from for the public safety?
That was in a trust. It was the Schubner Trust that was over there. Yeah.
What did we pay for it?
Yep. So the final price on it was $2 million for 18 acres.
Okay,
Yes.
fine, thank you.
Yeah. So it's just about $100,000 an acre, which for that area is pretty well priced. If you move one lot to the west to the actual corner piece, the piece owned by Ashley Capital, they're asking about $300,000 an acre.
Okay, and one more question. You talked about the fire department. You're still not looking at the southwest corner of this town for any type of a station, are you?
That's Fire Station 1.
That's at the north end.
No, Fire Station 1 is southwest. That's North Line and you're on River Drive.
the one that's being used by a company now or something?
Yeah, so we, knowing that we were moving forward with this, we terminated the lease.
Oh, good, good.
So they're no
That's-
longer in there, and
that's-
and we're at the point where
All
we're
right,
looking
that's
at doing the.
good news for me. Okay.
Yeah, yep.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Kevin, what's your estimated start time on the public building?
So we're in the process of the planning for the new public safety headquarters, so there's about, I think there's about 30 weeks of actual design for building and engineering and everything and site prep, and we meet every Thursday with them. We have a standing meeting, so we're hoping if everything plans out right, we'll be moving ground sometime probably late July of the next year, but it's about an 18 to 24 month complete process.
Thank you,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right?
Okay,
Your turn.
good. All right, thank you, Kevin. That was a great introduction to the process and the plan and some detail about the land use, so I appreciate that. Really what I want to do is just kind of take a little bit more of a broad step backward and just kind of make sure to answer any questions you guys have, but also kind of explain a little bit more about the plan and the process. When you have a TIFA plan amendment, you're looking at kind of a guideline or, a plan or strategic plan of what we're going to do for the next 30 years. So, like you said, Kevin, we updated the terms of this plan to include or extend it to 30 years going into 2055. And another thing that we did also in this process was include project-specific tax increment financing, which is allowed by Public Act 57 as a tool to incentivize development projects without impacting the district-wide capture. So that's another kind of tool in the tool belt when we're looking at specific development projects in the district. So the other thing I wanted to kind of hit on a little bit is you'll see in the introduction of the plan, going back to the plan itself, we did some updates to the 8 goals and objectives that are there, which is important to keep those in mind as we plan this district out over the next 30 years. And then moving through the plan, one of the things we like to highlight are these project categories, so general statements of how plans will be set up in the future, projects organized in categories including public infrastructure improvements, and this is on page 15 of the plan itself, business development, public buildings and spaces, TIFA marketing, development studies and promotional events and materials, TIFA property acquisition, as we've talked about, special district and urban design plans, demolition, environmental activities, project-specific TIF funding, and then consultation and operational expenditures. So using that framework, we put together a project list, updated project list here. That's on page 18. That's really in draft form at this time. We have a project description on the left, some information within those. We've got public infrastructure improvements at the top, and some subsequent projects listed here that follow that category, and then some estimated allocation dollars where we know what the costs will be for those projects. We're going to be adding a time frame column as well pretty soon in these next couple of days, where you will be able to see what the estimated time frame will be for completion of those projects listed. So really kind of pointing out the meat of the plan here, where we would probably have some attraction and attention given to information is the project list here. And that goes from 18 to 20. And then moving through, the second half of this plan is what we call the tax increment financing plan, basically how we're going to pay for all of these. And so using a lot of the information with Julie's help, we have a couple of tables here. We assumed 2.4% interest based on some historical data. So you can see in table 1, we have estimated project increase per year with those annual taxable values and then captured taxable values. So that chart kind of shows that breakout over the next 30 years. And then moving ahead, the other really helpful table in this, I'm going to kind of skip through. You guys will see page 33 has table 3, which is the tax increment financing and revenues. And that also breaks down per taxing jurisdiction what we're kind of having over the course of these 30 years, how it plays out, breaks it down. And then in the final column, you'll see that tax increment revenue year over year over year. So at the very bottom of that table, you'll see that total. And again, this is really just a guideline. It's not necessarily a budget document. We do this so we know what we're estimated to capture over the course of the planned term, so that we can budget properly for these projects that will improve the Tifa district. So that's kind of everything in a nutshell. I went through that pretty quickly, so if you have any questions, please let me know. But this is probably going to be the second draft of this with that updated project list will probably be done in a week. And then the next step in the process is adoption on the 24th of November.
Yes.
I'm
Ms.
sorry.
Talley?
Thank you. I missed your name and your role in this.
I'm sorry, Elena Moeller-Younger. I'm a principal, it's actually OHM Advisors is where I work now. CIB Planning was recently, OHM Advisors, yeah. CIB Planning was recently acquired by a larger firm, OHM Advisors, who's they do construction and architecture, landscape architecture, planning, so that's.
How long you been with OHM?
We were acquired in July, so
Okay.
only
Gotcha.
a few months now, but yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Good, Chair.
Ms. Roscoe?
Through Chair John. So the table in the back, parcel table and legal descriptions, this is just a description of all the properties that are within the TIF.
Correct, yeah.
That's
yeah,
correct.
yeah.
Now, will there be any more added to this, or is this with the layout of the changes?
That is with the changes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good question. Yeah, this includes the additional parcels
Okay.
that have been added to capture. Yep.
On page 18, on the estimated allocations, these figures is for allocate for these streets? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, the streets, we have basically kind of a high-level budget that are, like you see the orange here, kind of color-coded allocations for each category within the higher category. So for instance, public infrastructure improvements, under public infrastructure, we consider corridor enhancement, and those roads would be chosen for corridor enhancement projects. Gateway treatment, I believe, is probably one of the questions you had asked earlier that falls under gateway treatment is the signage there, and associated line item budgets for those categories within the larger category of public infrastructure, and so on and so forth.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And again, when you have a plan that incorporates 30 years, you might not necessarily have budgets for each and every project at this point in time, so you might see some blank spaces at this point. So that is, listed, but projects will be determined in the future.
Makes sense.
Mayor?
Through the chair, thank you. Just a quick comment. I want to thank Kevin for all his hard work here in the economic development team on this one. Also, the TIF board, the task was to maximize the amount of benefit of having the TIF district in the city around to our residents. It was clear to me in the past it was underutilized.
Your mic, Mayor.
Residents, how can we find creative ways? To make sure we're utilizing that to maximize the benefit, and just not even using City Hall. If it would encompass this campus, we could use it for HVAC improvements here at City Hall. We all know it's on its last leg here. That's $1 million upgrade. We're doing a budget amendment tonight for an emergency repair on the east ramp. That's $250,000 hit to our general fund. That could be funded by Tifa if this is addressed now. So there's creative ways to benefit. And even, Councilwoman Talley, you were in the budget hearings, and right off the rip, the Tifa board took about $500,000 in capital improvement at DPW and other buildings. It took that burden off of the general fund. So it's how do we use that to better utilize the residents and serve. So that leaves $500,000 we can leave in there to spend on public safety or our parks. It's all about being creative and make sure we're utilizing it to its maximum benefit. So I think this is a great plan, a great idea. And I appreciate all the hard work, and I absolutely appreciate all the work that the TIFA has done. The TIFA board has been up to the challenge to help work on things. If we didn't have TIFA established, we would already close the rack. And that's just the way it is. But now we have the opportunity to grow. Opportunity Park is growing over there, and now it'll also, like Kevin said, once we do the renovations of Fire Station 1, we'll be able to house people over there as well and give better service to the community. So,
That's a biggie.
thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Through the chair.
Yes, Ms. Talley?
I just want to say, and I got to put this out there because it's been funny to me because we haven't utilized TIFA to its fullest extent. So every time I kept hearing things going back to Tifa, I'd be like, Tifa. But it makes sense. And so, shame upon us for not using it to its full advantage and to our full advantage and ability before. But I thank you guys for jumping on, on that opportunity to know that this is stuff that we can use to move forward in our city without having to use general funds. So thank you very, very much for that. It's good to know, because we still didn't get I didn't have a full understanding of TIFA, and now it's just becoming more clear and clear their role. So thank you.
Right. One more question is, on the TIFA money, do you get an allowance every year, or how does that work?
So yeah, once the tax capture occurs, the capture for TIFA
Okay.
above the base, right? So whatever the base was when the TIFA district was established, anything above that is what's captured and gets moved to the TIFA budget.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And then that gets allocated throughout the year. We're continuing, part of this process is continuing to evaluate ideas and concepts that we can, again, better utilize TIFA dollars for. And I'll even take it to the extent of, talking with Roberto right now and saying, well, 30% of the city's boundaries are in TIFA. So what is 30% of the infrastructure maintenance costs, right? So that, that's a number that we're gonna see him give us and say, we can incorporate that in and help maintenance the sewers and the drains and the waters in the TIFA district on those roads, therefore not taking it out of the general fund dollars and leaving that money in the general fund to be able to, utilize for other projects and infrastructure and maintenance in other areas of the city. So continuing to get creative with it and make sure that, I tasked OHM now. OHM, I totally forgot that acquisition occurred. I tasked them up to really kind of give us the creative ideas. And then we have the city attorney, we have Pat McGow, who really is our TIFA, expert and guru on this. And he's kind of the one that says, okay, that's too far, or no, that's just far enough, and keeps us within the boundaries and make sure that we're doing everything. And a lot of the ideas we've taken to him, he comes back and says, no, that's good government, that's what you should be doing. And that's exactly what we want to hear, is that we're, utilizing and leveraging the dollars to get the fullest potential out of each dollar we get.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Kevin. Mr. Wadsworth?
If I can, when this first began back in '84, I was sitting here, and there was always the talk that it wasn't going to last, that the state was going to stop it. I know the schools were very upset about this because they didn't get their money out of it. Is there any fear of this being stopped by the state? I know the first 10 years, everybody talked about it's going to stop, but obviously it didn't stop.
Yeah, so I don't think there's any fear of us losing our TIFA district. The state has stopped any new districts from being formed or created, so you no longer can create these. So they're kind of a gem that we still have them, and we're able to do what we're doing. And the schools now are starting to see the benefit, right? Because the development that we're bringing in, I'll use the North Point development as an example.
But back then you couldn't convince them of it.
Yeah.
Joel Carr and his group.
So that development, the North Point development, has brought almost $1 million back to the schools. So they're seeing the benefit of it as well. So
thank you.
We'll continue to do that. So again, this evening was the public hearing that was required by the process through the state of Michigan and Public Act 450 and PA 57. So we want to make sure that we went through this process with you. This is a draft. There are a couple changes that will occur, mostly with just that table, putting in time frames and stuff, as Elena said. And then we'll get a final draft back to you, and it'll come back in front of this body for action in November.
Okay, great.
Perfect.
Thank you.
If there's no other questions, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good work.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no more comments from council, number 4 is public comment. This is the portion of the agenda for those in the audience who would like to address the city council regarding tonight's public hearing agenda. If you would like to address the city council, please raise your hand, and after being acknowledged by the chairperson, approach the podium and state your name. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Any additional time will be upon the consent of the chair. Is there anyone from our audience who would like to address the city council regarding tonight's public hearing agenda?
Any comments from the audience?
2055.
No comments from the audience.
We will close that out. Mr. Chair, number 5 is adjournment. The time is 7:10.
So moved.
Support.
It's been motioned by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Roscoe for adjournment. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. We are adjourned. Our regular council meeting starts at